And we'll just go 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. How you doing today? And welcome back to Big Apple Hockey, possibly one of our biggest episodes as we're ever going to have. And it's a shame that all three of us aren't here, but that'll be a time in the future. I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams, and once again, he's late on his nameplate. Oops, wrong one. There we go. And I'm joined by the man of many hats, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
How's it going, Mark? Yeah, very excited for today's show. Lot to talk about, starting with a big contract extension that came out of the Pacific Northwest last night.
You know, that's actually a great point, Anthony. It's almost like the Flames PR department hates hockey bloggers because all of their news that they've made over the last month, whether it was Mangiapane's signing or the Matthew Tkachuk trade or this move, it's all happened at about midnight Eastern time or 9 o'clock Pacific time, and it's just like, guys, you're killing us because how are we going to talk about it at midnight? No, it's just not going to happen. We got a poll question going through right now of who do you think the best shutdown defenseman in the NHL is? So go ahead, throw your options up there. I was kind of gonna just go 100% Jaccob Slavin, but we're gonna work on more of that. But first, guys, we're gonna start today with some news that I didn't get to on Wednesday. Kind of focused on some other things, but the sports world is just it's lost a piece of history with remembering Vin Scully, the famous baseball announcer. That everybody has heard his calls forever, whether it was for baseball, the Dodgers baseball specifically, for the Masters. He was living proof that you could talk about a perfect game in the middle of a perfect game, as it was. He was announcing Don Larson's perfect game in the World Series. 18 in a row retired by Lawson. And then it just, this guy, if you said an announcer that embodied his sport, Vin Scully was that, Anthony.
Yeah, he's a legend. I mean, I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but his voice is very distinct. I obviously did watch baseball, so I heard a lot of his calls, but definitely a legend. When you think of baseball announcers, he's at the top of the list. Just where if you think of hockey announcers, Doc Emmerich's at the top. But yeah,
very similar styles, by the way.
Sad loss for the Dodger family, the baseball family. He will be missed, and he's definitely one of the best of all time.
And you know what? 94 years old, that's where you celebrate a well-lived life. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
And he was sharp as he was sharp as a katana until like the very last day. I remember seeing his Twitter feeds. It was amazing. And again, I always ask this question. You think about baseball, you think about Vin Scully. You think about hockey, you think about Mike Emmerich. Think about football. Is that more Pat Summerall or maybe
John
Al
Madden.
Michaels now in the modern era? Or you also have basketball is always going to be Marv Albert to me. So it's just that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. I'm just fixing my other monitor to see a lot of the things we have right now and make sure I have your comments over here. But we're going to move on to now the big news. And Anthony, it's been a roller coaster in Calgary. And who'd have thought Big Apple Hockey would be focusing so much time on Calgary, but we really are. We had 2 specials for them, especially. So Jonathan Huberdeau signs an 8-year, $84 million extension. I know when we talked originally when Johnny Gaudreau left that they were going to just go into full rebuild mode. Not going to be the case. You have an MVP candidate in Huberdeau. Basically, he replaces Johnny Gaudreau, and maybe Mangiapane steps up to replace Matthew Tkachuk. We said they might go into full rebuild. They're not going to. Go with what your analysis of this right now.
Get more in depth on that with later in the bar talk with the Brad Tree Living. But overall, I think this is a good signing for Calgary. I mean, I understand that he's going to be 30 years old when this deal actually kicks in next year, but he's an elite player. And this is the price you have to pay to keep these elite players. Obviously, with being a pending UFA, they could not afford for him to walk next year after losing Gaudreau and then trading Tkachuk. So they had to pony up for him, and they did. 115 points last year. Not sure if he'll replicate that this year playing with Elias Lindholm. No knock on him, but he's not Barkov. But with that said, Huberdeau can drive a line by himself. He's an outstanding playmaker, passer. He skates well. And like I said, he's going to essentially replace Johnny Gaudreau, and Andrew Mangiapane will probably move up to the first line. You remember, he scored 35 goals last year. He didn't even play in the top line. He played in the second line with Backlund. So, he's coming off a fresh 3-year extension worth, $5.8 million. So he'll definitely get more ice time. But Calgary, like I said, after, losing Gaudreau and then finding out that Tkachuk wanted out, it would have been easy for Trey Living to kind of just, roll over and sulk a little bit and maybe rebuild. But, at the end of the day, they come out of this with Jonathan Huberdeau, and he's locked up long-term. So kudos for him. He definitely got paid. Again, his age, he's a little older, but 29 years old, but it is what it is. Like I said, you had to pay to keep him.
And I personally think that you get I think Huberdeau's an upgrade over Gaudreau. This is no offense to Gaudreau in any way, but I know there's similar players, but that could be something. I think he just facilitates a little bit more. Now, is it marginal? Could be, because Gaudreau's a hell of a player. And again, I'm not ripping on Gaudreau in any way, but this is just something that they were my pick to win the Stanley Cup last year, and they came far short as they lost the Edmonton Oilers. Part of it had to do with Tanev's injury, that he was out for most of that series. That could have changed a lot of things. And now looking at this team now doesn't have to just think, well, what happens in February if they're just as good as they were last year, or even better? How about that? Because you still got Mackenzie Weegar to talk about, and that defense can be that good, and they're scary if they keep it all together. So now you still lost over 200 points. You can't argue with that, but they're going to be a better defensive team, I think. Darryl Sutter knows how to coach. We know this. He's got 2 Stanley Cup rings, everybody. So as a coach, so let's see what happens from here. I for one, if I was a Calgary Flames fan and I wrote about them with the smoky future of the Flames, that's on the Big Apple Hockey Podcast, and it's .com. Sorry, that's our website, and it's just for them good for Calgary. So now the Pacific is looking really good. More on that in a minute. But here's a question that's kind of gone around a little bit, Anthony, and I hope you can still replicate the face you made. But what exactly does the Huberdeau signing mean for JT Miller?
Nothing. I mean, they're not really related. JT Miller had a very strong year last year, 99 points, but he's not in the same class as Huberdeau, in my opinion. Aside from Huberdeau's 115-point season last year, he's had a 92-point season prior. He's definitely more of an established player. So I don't think it really means much, to be honest with you. JT Miller, obviously, if he puts up 90 points again, he'll certainly get paid, but he's not exactly in Huberdeau's class. So we'll see what Vancouver decides to do with him. There have been obviously a lot of rumors regarding his, future in Vancouver. I mean, hell, he was almost traded to the Islanders on draft day. So, at this point, though, I think they're probably going to keep him and hope to re-sign him. We'll see. If for whatever reason they're out of it at the deadline, then for sure I would say he'll probably be traded. But as for now, I think he's going to start the season in Vancouver. And, hopefully for the Canucks' sake, he does replicate what he did last season. I'm sure if he does, they'll have no problem paying him.
I think it's definitely his value is to the Vancouver Canucks. I don't see him replicating that on a different team. And I think they moved him back to the middle. And under Bruce Boudreau, he just knows a way to coach offense out of guys. A lot of guys' career years always come under Bruce Boudreau. And I think the Canucks are a dangerous team next year. I've talked about this extensively, and it's only going to get better and better as far as they go. They're as far as the JT Miller contract goes, just what you just said. I think Miller's career high previous to this was 70 points. That's about it. So let's see you do it again, kid, before we start talking about $9 million or such. I mean, if that would be the case, like even Nazem Kadri would come down a little bit less on that.
Don't say his name too loud, Mark.
I know. Well, because after all, I heard that he's around here, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
But also, everybody, just got to mention, check out manscaped.com and use the promo code BAH for 20% off and free shipping, because you can get stuff like the Shed, which is right over here, and the Weed Whacker for your nose and ear hair, and of course, the Lawnmower, which I can't suddenly get out, which is really good. It doesn't nick you whatsoever, and you know what? You don't want to look like a fuzzball, right? So maybe not Anthony. He's got a veritable forest going on down there. But but no, so check it out. Promo code BAH, 20% off and free shipping. But we were just going to originally just have a Jaccob Slavin interview. Instead, we have a full show for you today because we've got a lot more to talk about. So let's do a quick bar talk segment.
I'm going to take a shot on this one.
I'm going to say beer. I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh, my God.
Just by the way, to mention a couple of these quotes that are in here, I just saw two of them. David, I understand what you're saying, but you know what? Actually, you know what? Other than Matthew Tkachuk being off that team, it's basically the same team as it was. I would not be surprised if he does replicate it. That's how good Jonathan Huberdeau is. And I still haven't called him Justin Huberdeau accidentally. But as Jonathan Sawyer's saying, how does Calgary managed to fleece the Panthers with no leverage? I don't know how they did it, but by the way, we're going to get to that topic right now. So everybody, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk, where we are gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you so confident that you're going to buy everybody around? You're not confident at all. Oh my goodness, I just need a shot, or just so. I'll take a beer. So play along with us in the comments. Throw some beers, shots, and buying down below. And we're going to start off with the New York Rangers right now. That the New York Rangers should trade Ryan Reeves to make room for Tyler Mott or Paul Stastny. Mr. LaRocco.
I'm going to go round. Ryan Reeves, there's no doubt that he was great for the Rangers in the room, bringing the team together. But at the end of the day, for a guy who's very limited on the ice, making, almost $2 million, I believe $1.75 million, if you could move his salary out, the range of $1 million, you're left with, almost $3 million of cap space. That might be enough to get a Paul Stastny, which Michael Rupp on NHL Network reference, that could be good for the Rangers. And the one thing I'll say about the Rangers is the one weakness that is, I don't really think they're still very deep down the center ice position. Yeah, there's Zibanejad and Trocheck, which is good, but their third line center is Filipino, and let's face it, aside from the playoffs last year, he's been wildly inconsistent for the Rangers and hasn't really performed up to standards. And when you match the Rangers up to other teams 1 through 4 at center ice, they're not often going to win that battle. And I think to really go far, you need to be deep at center. And adding a guy like Paul Stastny adds veteran leadership. He could play in all situations. And I just think overall strengthens the team. And at this point in his career, he shouldn't be all that expensive. Definitely more than $1 million, which is what they have now. But by moving out Reeves, they might be able to afford a Paul Stastny. So I think for sure, if this is possible, the Rangers should look into doing it.
I'm actually going to go beer on this. And the economics of everything you're saying make 100% sense. But I think they still might need the nuclear warhead known as Ryan Reeves, both to energize the team out in the locker room and before they jump on the ice. And also just in case if somebody like Tom Wilson is taking liberties and you need the snot kicked out of them. Barclay Goodrow has something to do with that. That's fine. They got other guys that could step in and basically take that role as well. But Reeves is the nuke. You throw him down. He's the big deterrent. Nobody wants to mess with Ryan Reeves. Is it a long-term thing? I don't think it is. They might need to free up some room. And you know what? The only thing is Ryan Reeves. That's why definitely no shot on this for me. So we're going to keep on going. So we go to the New York Islanders. And the New York Islanders should extend Noah Dobson rather than bridging him. Mr. Laraco, go right ahead.
Well, first, let's just say, I mean, I think this one's already in the draw, along with Kadri and some other things. So it's probably already done. But I will say I think that it's probably benefits both teams if they do a bridge, not rather extend them long term. Because in Dobson's case, in his first full year in the league, at a very young age, he already put up 50 points. With the salary cap rising in the next couple of years, and the fact that he's going to get better, he might as well take a bridge because if he does do that and he gets better and even goes to 60, 70 point defenseman or whatever it is, he's going to be able to earn a lot more money on that next contract than he would if he extended long-term now. And for the Islanders, it also, by giving him a bridge, it keeps the number manageable. If they were to give him a long-term deal right now, at the very least, they'd probably have to give him $6 million, which might be a little difficult for their situation. On a bridge, they could probably get him right now at $4 million, which is more beneficial to them. So I think for both sides, a bridge is better, but I do understand extending long term also is very good. But I'll say beer for this.
I'm actually gonna go shot, and there's only one reason why, because the limited salary cap. Should they try to extend him long term? Sure, go right ahead. But you don't know what that dollar amount is that Dobson's going to want to look for and what he's worth yet. That's all things that's going to settle itself and figure itself out. Now, we don't know how much Kadri is getting. They had $11 million on the books, and yes, if they go over that number, they have to trade probably Josh Bailey and Anthony Beauvillier, and they can go for bigger money. You don't have to do it yet. Dobson, I mean, hell, Ryan Pollock had how many points is this season before Trotz got there? He had 50 points too, I think. So it's wait to see what the kid does the second season, then figure out where you're going. I think right now a 2-year bridge is fine. You pay him, and by the way, that's what Lou's going to do anyway. Pay him maybe $3.5 million for each one. I have a lot of confidence he's going to be a good player, but let's wait and see on that. I think the bridge is the better deal. So, Anthony, with Calgary solidifying itself and looking like they're actually going to be a good team, the Pacific Division will be better than the Metropolitan Division.
Beer. I still think the Metro is probably the toughest division in hockey. You have the Hurricanes, you have the Rangers, you have the Penguins and Capitals, even though we've been predicting them to drop, but they still haven't. So you still got to always include them when you're talking about the Metro. The Islanders had an outlier of a year last year. They should be back in the mix for sure. So there's a lot of strong teams right there. And the Pacific, don't get me wrong. They're good. I mean, you got good teams in that division, Calgary and Edmonton and such, but I think the Metro is still a little of a heavier, deeper division, but the Pacific definitely, for my money, in terms of the West, is the best division.
I'm a Metro guy, so it's hard for me to get off the Metro. But the Pacific, if we're going to break it down, and then I'm going to try to figure out my answer as I say this. The Pacific is going to have the best player in hockey, the team I picked to win the Stanley Cup last year. Now, granted, they're not going to be as good. There you got the most dangerous team outside the playoffs that I picked. That's the Vancouver Canucks. They have probably one of the best up-and-coming franchises in the LA Kings. They got the team a lot of people picked to go to the Stanley Cup Finals in the Las Vegas Golden Knights. More on them in a moment. And then they have the Anaheim Ducks, which is probably going to be the last place team in that division. And the Seattle Kraken, which is coming off an expansion year. That let's see whether or not people think Dave Haxtell is the right coach for that job. So where I'm getting at with all those is I'm gonna go beer. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go beer The only reason why is because I don't know who we know Anaheim is probably going to be the whipping boy, and they might be better than the Flyers. And the Flyers are really the weakest team in the Metro. Well, you look at the Metro, they got 7 at least pretty good teams, if not strong teams. Do the Devils take the next step? Does Gaudreau make Columbus better? They had 81 points last year. Are the Islanders back? Are the Capitals going to fall off? Is Pittsburgh still at Sidney Crosby and all those guys? I can't say the Pacific is going to be better, and everybody's just going to whip up on the Flyers. I mean, I'm sorry, Philly fans. I have no confidence in the Flyers this year, especially. I mean, Tortorella is a great coach. If he gets them into the playoffs, that's the best job he's ever done. So, yeah, it's just beer for me. Let's go on to 2 guys that are free agents right now. There are others, but we're going to specifically focus on these 2. Anthony, Evan Rodriguez and Phil Kessel are facing the harsh reality of the cap world.
Round for sure. I mean, these are guys that, I mean, obviously Phil Kessel's not the player he once was, and but still, he could be a formidable depth scorer. Especially if you put him on a team like the Oilers, who he's been linked to, even though they're over the cap and have to move people. But that's besides the point. And Evan Rodriguez kind of established himself as a strong third-line center in this league. So the fact that they are still available just shows that there are so many teams that are tight against the cap that they simply don't have enough money to commit to guys like this and make it work. I'm almost positive that these guys have been told by teams we're interested, but we can't do anything right now. We have to wait until our cap situation becomes a little more clear and we move some bodies out. And that's just the reality of the situation. And I think that's why you see so many players on July 1st, historically July 1st, sign on the first day, because you don't want to be left without a seat at the table. And then you kind of just hoping to jump on a team and get a spot here. So it absolutely is the harsh reality of the cap world. They're good players. In normal circumstances, if there was no cap, they would have teams right now. And these guys are above PTOs. I think they will land contracts, but like I said, given the climate right now, they're forced to just kind of wait it out.
It's amazing. It really is. Because especially that there's 11 teams in the NHL currently over the salary cap, including, by the way, again, the Philadelphia Flyers. Then there's another 10 teams that have less than $5 million to spend. And then you have to ask, do I want to go to the other teams? If I'm Phil Kessel, am I signing with the Winnipeg Jets, or am I signing with the Detroit Red Wings? Actually, the Red Wings, maybe the Dallas Stars, who have $10 million, but they still have to re-sign Jason Robertson. There's the Chicago Blackhawks don't want to sign anybody. They'll sign one of us before that. The Islanders have $11 million of cap space because, file the damn contracts, Lou. And lastly, and the Arizona Coyotes are under the cap, so they actually have to sign somebody. I wouldn't be surprised if they do sign Evan Rodriguez and try to use him to get to the cap floor. So that's, the Buffalo Sabres, they would make sense, but they also watch this movie and go, Evan Rodriguez, we saw it, we didn't like it. Phil Kessel is sort of like a finishing touch piece for a playoff team. It's one of those.
The other component to this is, we're in early August. Most guys already want to know what their situations are by now and where they're going to be playing. Because typically, you have these guys start filing back into their home cities, by the end of August, because you're already starting informal skates. So in a perfect world, I think these guys wish they probably had teams so they could kind of set out their plans, especially if you have family, kids in school and whatnot. So it kind of sucks. But again, like I said, this is just the reality of the cap world and so many teams strapped. But they will find teams and they are good players. But it's absolutely around here. No question about it.
And also, Anthony, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people forget the human aspect of this. It's a job. You have to go to a new location. You have to find out where you're living, find an apartment if you're a single guy, find a house if you got a family. and get your kids in school. There's so many other components to it that it's not just we signed him one day before preseason starts. Oh, and he's ready to go. Hey, look at that. Then he's got to worry about a lot of other things. By the way, everybody, right now we got 34 of you watching. Leave a like and for the channel. And if you haven't subscribe to us already. We got a great interactive podcast and a library of videos. Check them all out. Right now, only about 8 is we're up to 10 now. We have a goal of 50 likes. So please, everybody get it up there. We made it last week. Well, the last show was Wednesday, so we made it 2 days ago. So there we go. Let's keep going, Anthony, because we actually got a lot of Bar Talk conversations, which might struggle a little bit. We were talking about Brad Treliving and what a great job he's done. But Brad Treliving is already, I thought I clicked it, the GM of the Year finalist, the Jim Gregory Award. I'm going to start this one. Yeah, I'm buying him around. Like, how do you navigate those waters where there was seemingly sharks, killer whales, piranhas, everything, and he's kind of come out clean? I can't believe it. I'll see it to you.
You changed up the wording on this one on me, so it's throwing me off. I mean, I don't know if you can already say he's a GM of the Year finalist, because at the end of the day, he lost 2 of his franchise players, but then again, he did trade for an elite player and extended him. But it was looking like it was going to be an ugly offseason for Calgary when you lose 2 guys in Gaudreau and Tkachuk that both were over 100 points. The fact that he lost both of them and came out of it with Jonathan Huberdeau and signed him long term is impressive. Because, like I said, once he found out Tkachuk was asking for a trade, he could have just traded him for futures and kind of just started over. But he pivoted and got a player in return that will enable them to still compete at a similar level to they did last season. So GM of the Year finalist, that's tough. I mean, because I do think there are still other holes in their lineup there. But given his circumstances, he's done a really good job. And I'm pretty sure that most Calgary Flames fans are happy with the result, with all things considered.
They could definitely breathe easy in Calgary. So that's now they just got to worry about Mackenzie Weegar. So and he's a very good defenseman. So that's another great pickup. Everybody's forgetting they're focusing on Huberdeau. You're forgetting about Mackenzie Weegar. Anthony, it's in the NHL's best interest for Connor Bedard not to end up in Arizona.
I mean, is there like multiple rounds you could buy on this? I mean, did you see the highlight reel goal he scored the other night? Phil commented on it on Twitter, but it was pretty filthy. He kind of dangled around the defenseman, and I think he also went in between the legs on the goalie. He's just an electric player, almost like a human highlight reel. There's a reason why he's been compared to McDavid. And for him to end up on Arizona Coyotes and play for a team that for the foreseeable future is only going to be able to hold 5,000 people, and 5,000 people are limited to watching the next generation play every single night. I think that would be bad for the game. I mean, you want Bedard to end up in a city where, all eyes are on him. Multiple thousands of people could go watch him play every night on a nightly basis. And that's not going to happen in Arizona. I mean, I get it from the angle of, well, maybe a guy like Connor Bedard could help grow the game in Arizona and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I think it would be much better if he ended up in another city, because right now playing in front of a 5,000 capacity arena every night, that's not a situation you want your next one to be in. So I'm definitely going round on this.
I'm going 100% shot. And here's the reason why. And it looks very angry. I'm trying to figure out a voice for the shot, by the way, everybody. It looks like he's talking like this. Anyway, here's the reason why. Let me take you back to 1984. There was a struggling franchise in Pittsburgh that desperately needed help financially. And also they had the IRS padlocking their office, and they declared bankruptcy. Then comes Mario Lemieux, and not only saves Pittsburgh, gets them a new franchise, and then ends up taking over ownership for them. They ends up playing for them again to help raise more money. Then they end up getting Sidney Crosby. Now they have a new arena. They're worth $1 billion as a franchise. They're set. So that's sometimes what it takes. It takes a player to come in, and then suddenly you're going to fill that 5,000 seat arena. And I'm saying that a little bit joking, Anthony, because if they can't fill it right now, then we have real problems. Arizona State is looking to become a powerhouse in college hockey. And I think throwing Connor Bedard in there, also Austin Matthews being from Arizona, now you get more chatter about Arizona hockey. And then you talk an arena in a real place, not like Glendale, and they could actually build up this franchise. It's possible. And you know what? A guy like Bedard, by the way, I'll finish the punchline out of all this in a second. But a guy like Bedard would generate that much more interest, and that would be a franchise-saving player for the Arizona Coyotes, who won't win the lottery anyway to get him, because the NHL will definitely send him to the Flyers or someplace like that.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but the things, it's a little different. Pittsburgh is at least in a city that's more of a traditional hockey market. And they were playing in an arena that held more than 5,000 people before Mario Lemieux came. So I think it's a little different. I get the angle you're trying to go there. But I just feel like this is too different. I think Bedard ending up in Arizona would be a dreadful situation for Arizona. I mean, think about if he went to Montreal. I mean, forget about it. I mean, that would be spotlight. That'd be good for the league. Or if he ended up in Chicago, original 6 city, that would be good too.
That would just make every NHL fan roll their eyes. They just won 3 Stanley Cups over the last decade. They tanked one season. Admittedly tanked one season. They were not trying to tank the last 2 seasons. And then they end up with a generational player. Ooh, goody. So it's just one of those things that it'll make the rest of us just cringe. Anthony, sticking with hockey in the desert, the Las Vegas Golden Knights will miss the playoffs again this year.
I think I'm going to go around on this one. I mean, the problem is they're not a bad team, but there's a lot of good up and coming teams around them. I mean, if you look at it, you got to put Edmonton ahead of them right now. You obviously certainly putting Colorado, still Calgary, likely Minnesota too, St. Louis. And some of the decisions they made over the last couple of years is head scratching. The whole Fleury thing was odd. Max Pacioretty, I don't know if you saw his comments now that he left Vegas. He said that there's really no pressure to win there. And it's just they trade every one of their former top prospects for the next shiny new toy. And it never really seems to work out for him. They have Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, Marchessault, Riley Smith. But then if you look at some of the rest of their depth on the roster, Keegan Kolesar, Michael Amadeo, I mean, they're not a complete team. So I don't know. I mean, they're not a bad team, but I just think there's too many teams that are going to be ahead of them at this point.
I got to go beer because they were knocking on the door last year. I'm still not a believer that Robin Leonard might get him into the playoffs alone. I understand that he's done that already with the New York Islanders and not really so much with some other teams. But there's a lot of talent there. Now, if they all stay healthy, if they could get everything under the cap, that's a different story. And I hate saying if they all can stay healthy, and you're not really sure about that. Jack Eichel has still yet to play a playoff game in his career. I am just dumbfounded by that. Then now Connor McDavid has more games in the second round. Or sorry, let me correct that. Connor McDavid has as many wins in the conference finals as Jack Eichel has playoff games played. So it's one of those things. I can't even find the words to say it. As a matter of fact, the joke didn't even work either. So that's. I am going to go beer. They still got Bruce Cassidy. Bruce Cassidy is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
He's a good coach. Let's see what it is. His message probably got watered down in the last one. And we got, lastly, guys, the Ottawa Senators are the most, let me fix that one. It's the most improved team in the playoffs. Sorry about that. Or the season. So, okay, let's try this one again. The Ottawa Senators are the most improved team this offseason. Anthony.
I think once again I'm gonna go round here. Alex DeBrincat is developing to elite scorer if he isn't one already. And then you added Claude Giroux, who, even though he's, a little bit of an older veteran, is still producing at a good clip. So that makes a forward group that was already actually pretty good even better. So when you add those guys to Batherson, who had a hell of a year, and Josh Norris, who's a revelation, and Tim Stutzla and Brady Tkachuk, they got a good forward squad. Their defense still needs a little bit of work, but they're gonna be a much better team. I don't know what's going on with Bergeron and Krejci. You thought those were in the bag, and they probably still are, but they haven't officially re-signed in Boston. I'm not totally convinced that Boston, for instance, would be that much of a better team than Ottawa. So I think Ottawa's going to make a lot of headway this year. I think they're still a year off from making the playoffs or two. Like I said, they really need to improve their defense. Their goaltending, Anton Forsberg, who had a good year on a bad team, I think he had a .920 save percentage, and then they added Cam Talbot. So they're going to be a solid team, and they're definitely improved. So you could say the same about a couple other teams, but I think Ottawa for me is probably my pick.
I'm trying to think of any other team I would even put in that class with them. I mean, maybe the Dallas Stars, I think possibly could be. I'm trying to think of one. I don't want to just automatically say it's them, so I'm going to go beer on that. I still think Ottawa's thin on defense.
They are, definitely.
That's part of the problem. And Anton Forsberg, he's played, and I always call this the Yaroslav Halak rule, because Yaroslav Halak never played a lot of games until he got the Islanders, and he tapered off usually at the end of the season. Whether or not I'm right or not, that's what I always call it. I call it the Mandela effect. But and for him, he's played, this is his career games played. I'm going to start in 2014, 2015 with Columbus. 5 games, then the next year 4 games, 1 game, 35 with Chicago in 2018, 3 games, 8 games, 46 games. I am not sure he can stand the load as number 1 goaltender, and I do understand they have Cam Talbot, who is conditioned for a longer season, but it's one of those things. He might get exposed if he's out there longer. So we'll see about that one. And actually, Anthony, I think that does it for the Bar Talk segment right now. So let's check on everybody, see some of your comments. There was a lot of people that were playing along with that. And yeah, like said before, Jonathan brings up a good one right here. Detroit is a team you could say greatly improved next year. But as Lauren is saying right here, I mean, DeBrincat and Claude and some other of their top prospects joining them, what more do you need? So,
David Perron, Detroit. So yeah, no, Detroit added some pieces for sure.
Yeah, Detroit has a lot of good pieces in there. They added another goalie too. And you get Billy Husso going there. That could be a great tandem coming in. By the way, Go Palms is right. You want to make your party or your backyard look good, go get palm trees. He's right there. And they got 2 locations on Long Island. But also, guys, he's right about that. Let's get some likes up here. We're trying to get to about 50 likes for this broadcast. Been given a nice lower one.
And also, you got, when you're talking about improved teams, you also want to talk about Seattle. I mean, they got Oliver Bjorkstrand for pretty much free. And then they signed Andre Burakovsky. So those are 2 pretty good offensive players that they added to a group that already includes McCann and Eberle and Jaden Schwartz. So Yanni Gord. So that they're improved too, for definitely, at least when it comes to the forward group.
And Andrew is saying this, Anthony. How about this one? Imagine the Islanders with Detroit's forward group plus Barzell. No, I don't want to exactly throw that away because the Islanders still had a 30-goal scorer, two-way center in Brock Nelson. You got JD Pajot if he's healthy. That's really good. And the Islanders got plenty of talent in their forward group. And as Greg is saying right here, you can see Ottawa and Detroit in the playoffs in 2024. Now, he's given himself 2 years. Smart move.
Yep.
But it's how many playoff spots do you think are up for grabs in the Eastern Conference right now?
Well, I mean, you gotta look at it like this. And with that said, I'll use this example. Going into last season, Dan Rosen said he saw no holes in the Islanders. Everyone thought they were locked for the playoffs, and they missed. So when you do this exercise, you got to remember anything can happen. But it's probably safe to say that the Rangers, the Hurricanes, are going to be 2 spots for sure. Then you have Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto. What are we up to? 5 or so, 6. From there, you're talking. I think the Islanders will be back in the mix. So does that leave one or 2 spots? So
1 or 2 spots, and presumably wild card ones.
Yeah. So it just that's really a fair guess to make. But again, you just don't know. Anything can happen. So it is really hard to predict.
And that's why I think the West is a little bit easier to predict. But even at that, the Pacific Division is going to be all over the place. If you could predict the Pacific Division, then I'll give you a cookie. I don't have that much money, so I can't get everybody.
This is what I was kind of alluding to before when you said nothing's a lock, but David said the Rangers and the Florida are not locks to make it. Like I said, the Islanders proved that's certainly possible. Same with Vegas. No one would have ever expected Vegas to miss the playoffs going into next season. So, you ask yourself, how would teams like the Rangers or Panthers not make the playoffs? Panthers maybe wouldn't make the playoffs if Barkov got hurt. Carter Verhage came back down to earth. Matt Tkachuk didn't mesh well. As for the Rangers, how do they miss the playoffs? Chris Kreider goes back to his 20-goal self. Igor Shesterkin isn't Superman, and he's just good. Could happen. So you don't. Again, you really don't know. But I wouldn't bet on any of that happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on the top 2 teams in the Metro going anywhere in the Rangers and the Hurricanes. And I'm not just saying that because of our guest today, but I just firmly believe that they're going to be fine. And I like their coaching. And a matter of fact, I still like the coaching in Pittsburgh. I think Mike Sullivan's done a tremendous job. I just don't know whether or not that's really going to be I just don't know about them being able to. They're just such an old team. I just don't know whether or not they could do it. They got Sidney Crosby. That's what matters. And then you have Washington. Peter Laviolette is great. As great of a coach as he is, he's got a shelf life. We all know this. And then, of course, there's Washington with their age and their injury history on a lot of things. It's all up in the air. Boston, half their premier players are out half the season, so they're going to start behind the 8 ball. We still don't know about Bergeron and Krejci, so there's still a lot more that has to come. And
Ranger fans and Isles win the division, and honestly, that's not crazy. They got the goaltending to do it. They with Romanov, their defense is going to be much better. Adding Nazem Kadri. So yeah, you never know. Realistically, there's about the Rangers, Hurricanes, Islanders could win the division. Could Washington still win the division, even though we've been predicting them to fall off? Yeah, they could. Nick Backstrom being out hurts, but they still could do it.
And again, that's where the hard part of this comes in. Does Tampa Bay fall off finally? How about that one? There was at one point where Tampa Bay looked like they were starting to fall off, and then they had a resurgence. Florida, look, Bobrovsky might drop off again, or because God only knows what Paul Maurice is going to do for that team. Is he going to be good for them? Is he going to stifle their offense, which they were predominantly an offensive team last year? Is Spencer Knight going to come up and save them? Florida's got so many different variables. I can't even begin to think about them. So, as Jonathan's saying right here, Canes winning the cup this year. CJ, you should do a poll about my tweet about having our home jerseys with the orange and white outlined numbers full time. I actually kind of like those orange jerseys that the Islanders had a while ago.
He's not talking about the jersey orange. He's talking about the number on the back being orange outlined in white.
Oh, okay. Yeah, why not?
That's on their alternates.
Yeah. And of course, our Hurricanes contributor right here, Pete Mackin, who is saying Paul Maurice has never met expectations when they are high. That is true. He's taken a team to the Stanley Cup Finals in the Carolina Hurricanes. I think that was 2002. And I mean, I just don't know about Maurice. So I'm trying to think of other teams that look. Oh no,
we won't do it. We won't do it.
If we could get to 1,000 likes, maybe I'll think about dialing.
You heard the man. You heard the man.
Yeah. So let's get it up, guys. Come on, let's get it up. But defensive mind, Warren is saying it best right here. I think we clicked on the same one, Anthony. Paul Maurice is a defensive-minded coach. He will help the teams all over a team's play, but the offense will have to come strictly from the players themselves. Yeah, and that's basically the way it happened in Winnipeg. That it was Scheifele and Wheeler that had great seasons. Wheeler had 1.40 power play points. Just wow. So
yeah, Wheeler's been a great player, but with his age, he's starting to fall off a little bit, and with his contract, making over $8 million, that's a tough one. But so we should have Jaccob Slavin joining us about maybe a little less than 15 minutes.
Yep. And I got one banner I got to put on there for him because after all, the Carolina Hurricanes are playing an outdoor game, and that's going to be probably the greatest tailgate in NHL history. Maybe, I don't know. Like I always hear about how great a tailgate is down there.
It's a little loophole there, Mark. He does it.
You know what? Go right ahead. And make sure everybody is watching full time and liking it. There you go. Anthony, did you ever have an outdoor game yourself? Or play outdoors?
I did play outdoors maybe about, I don't know how long ago that was, maybe a year and a half ago. It was an outdoor rink. That's obviously, of course, seasonal out somewhere in Nassau. I forget exactly where it was, but it was like an open hockey that this guy always organizes. Me and some of my buddies played. And then obviously pond hockey and stuff, but that's different.
At NC State, that's where they're playing. Okay. Fortunately for me, I had. How are you doing, Scott? Fortunately for me, in high school, I always played outdoors anyway. And Bethpage, before the new rink was made, it used to be an outdoor rink with a chain link fence, and there was a stone overhang that was over it, but it was still outdoors. And trust me, when we had just the wind gusts and that were minus 15, you couldn't find enough clothing to throw on underneath that. But we always, yeah, outdoor games are great. The problem is when I went to the outdoor game, the Rangers Islanders won back in 2014, and it was a Yankee Stadium. It was in the single digits. It was actually colder on the Sunday afternoon versus the Devils. And thank God, I've told this story before for you guys, but thank God my friend's wife found a hot chocolate station at Yankee Stadium that they put Jameson in every single hot chocolates. So we had doubles of Jameson and hot chocolate in there. Right now, we got 35 of you guys in the chat. We got about 10 more minutes till Jaccob Slavin is joining us. So we'll still take some questions and hear some of your comments right now. Yeah, I know. We're working on it one day at a time. See, you know what? I still think, and I know some people are saying with the fish sticks logos, but I still would rather have seen the redesigned where it's the lighthouse instead for the Islanders. That was great.
Well, I think the fisherman logo is coming back for the reverse retro jersey this year. Those are the rumors that the Islanders reverse retro is going to be of the fisherman.
Oh, I'm shocked by that. I really am, because if that's the case, then it's like that everybody hated that when I was growing up, and now it's a big thing.
Yeah.
So,
this is the $1 million question that I guess only Lou can answer. I mean, me personally, I don't see how he's fooling anybody. The assumption is that by him not announcing his contracts and what everyone got in terms of Dobson, Romanov, Bellows, Kadri, that teams don't know exactly how much cap space he has when it comes to trying to make a trade to dump salary. But that's flawed a little bit, because other general managers aren't stupid. They can kind of guesstimate and value what Romanov's worth, Dobson, what Kadri got, and then figure out what they're left with. So, but who knows? I think that's the rationale behind it. I just think it's silly, and I mean, no one else does this. And even Lou himself, Lou didn't start doing this until last season. It wasn't until September 1st when he announced the contract extensions for Cizikas, Palmieri, Beauvillier, and Ilya Sorokin. He announced all of them on the same day. And then the UFA signing of Zach Parise, that didn't get announced until maybe like 5 or 6 days later. So this is just what he does. It is what it is. I mean, I think it's old and tired. I don't get it.
very.
That's the best way I can answer that question.
Again, I will repeat this over and over again. There's about maybe 2 or 3 teams that could even think about offer sheeting Dobson, and you can't offer sheet Romanov. So don't worry about that. Just announce the damn freaking signings. I mean, come on.
He's not going to do it, Mark. So I would just clear your schedule until September 1st, and then we'll have a lot to talk about. But then again, I don't know how much longer he can keep it under wraps, because you got to think eventually Kadri's going to come into town, and someone will spot him at Northwell because it is open to the public. It's getting to be that time of year, but who really knows? CJ, this is actually quite the opposite. Lou is very traditional. Rumor has it the reason why the fisherman wasn't the reverse retro when the program first started was because, again, Lou doesn't like it. He's very basic, very traditional. That's why their reverse retro was basically the same thing as their home jersey, just a darker shade of blue. So no, he does not like it. I think the reason why it's going to come back this year is because dollars or counts to the owners. And I think they know that a large part of the fan base likes it. They want to see it again. So I think Lou is going to relent, but I can probably tell you he's not happy about it.
Jonathan is saying that the Canes should wear their Whalers jerseys more. Actually, I think the Canes should wear their jerseys with the Whalers logo on it. So keep it as the red and just stick with that. Make like, I like it that the paint. Why is it? I think I'm a bit of a hypocrite on this, Anthony. Why is it that I like it when the Canes are doing it, but I hate it for where the Nordiques logo is being used by the Avalanche?
Yeah.
Just asking.
Yeah. Hold on. Roman, this is actually an interesting question. Lou has so much control, and you wouldn't even believe that this could be true, but he even supersedes Ledecky and Malkin with decisions. My brother writes for Newsday. He's a pretty big one of their top reporters there, and he's friends with Jim Bomback, who has covered a lot of the Islanders arena issues, and he's good friends with Ledecky. And he said that Lou basically controls everything. Like Lou can even supersede, like if Ledecky wanted to go on a show or do a radio spot, Lou could tell him no. He literally controls everything. It's crazy and it's odd, but that's the type of thing he requested when he came on. He wanted full autonomy, and he has it. So, yeah, he has his hand in everything.
The Nordiques didn't play in them all like the Whalers did. But yeah, I mean, a matter of fact, speaking about the retro jerseys, Johnny Red is saying there. By the way, Johnny Red, good to see you as always. Rangers totally got what retro jersey is wrong. Didn't mean reverse the colors. Of course, we got another blue jersey instead of a red one. Well, also, they could have used the Liberty jersey. I think they are using the Liberty for that. I forget which one the retro is now. They got so many damn different jerseys coming out all the time. It's hard to keep up. So, sorry.
Every team's getting the reverse retro again this year. So,
well, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, at least do that. On simpler terms, Lou acts like a dictator. Sorry, Anthony. I was clicking that for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wicked's got some information for you. He's saying, Anthony, not sure if you heard this, but a little birdie that originally Ledecky didn't want Lou to join Malkin, but Malkin really wanted him. I butchered all that.
I mean, I can see that. Malkin's not a hockey guy, so if he's told that Lou is, obviously Lou is a Hall of Famer, he's well known, so he probably just he's out there, he's available, let's get the best guy. So I could possibly see that being true.
I think Jonathan's right on this one, although I think he's echoing what somebody else said. Rangers in red would be electric or just kind of lit. I disagree with Romanello right here. I just absolutely I cannot look at those John Ferguson Winnipeg Jets looking Ranger jerseys. Absolutely never again. And thank God in the annals of New York Rangers history, that was the last one Rod Gilbert wore. Awesome. Thank you very much. So and that was a butchered sentence by me, Wicked. You're right about that one. CJ is saying Oilers always seem to be beautiful, bright orange and beautiful royal blue colors for jerseys, way better than we do. Yeah. Ouch. That hurts, CJ. Not kidding. I'm not a hater. I just never liked that. I grew up with a basically bootleg Rangers jersey with a crest on it. I like the fact that the Rangers don't have to put anything but their name on there. They're the only team in pro sports that just leaves their name on. Well, then the Cleveland Browns. So,
yeah.
Yeah, in the Ferguson era. I'm not old enough to remember the Ferguson era, but fortunately, I'm old enough to know I don't like John Ferguson and what he did to the New York Rangers. But that's a different story. We have some better news coming right up right now, everybody, because I get the comments off right here. Because joining us right now, one of the best shutdown defensemen in the NHL. He is a gentleman on and off the ice, and he's got the hardware to prove it. Mr. Jaccob Slavin is with us. Thank you very much for joining us, Jacob.
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here.
Thanks for coming on. And first off, congratulations on the birth of your son. That's awesome. Hope everyone's doing well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, everyone's doing
Um,
great. Thank you.
Awesome.
He's growing. So
Is it
Has he been
number
keeping you up?
one, number two?
yeah, number two. Number two.
Oh, nice.
We got a daughter who's 3 years old, and then Charlie.
Great. Before we get into hockey, I know Dwayne had said that you're very involved with the Hockey of Ministries International Camp. I was actually very intrigued about that. Could you tell us more about that and what exactly is your role?
Yeah, so Hockey Ministries International. It's a ministry who they do a lot of hockey camps during the summertime. But one of the cool things they do is they provide chaplains to probably thousands of teams now throughout Canada, throughout the U.S. I think some overseas as well. And so I think from the time I've been in juniors, I've always had a chaplain on my team, and that's always been provided by volunteers through Hockey Ministries International. And actually, my chaplain that I had at CC ended up marrying my wife and I. And then
Awesome.
here out in Raleigh, we have a chaplain, and him and his wife have become like our North Carolina parents to Kylie and I. So it's been really cool. But then I guess so my role with them is just volunteering during the camps. They do about 40 summer camps a summer, some in the States, some in Canada, and then some overseas as well. And so they've had a camp here in Raleigh, I think the past maybe 12, 13 years. And then ever since I've been here in Carolina, I've been helping out with it every summer. And so I just do on ice instruction for the camp. And then actually we have a camp back in Colorado too that we help Hockey Ministries put on. And then that one's super fun because it's kind of like just my family. My mom kind of sets it all up, organizes it all. And then it's me, my sister, both my little brothers, and my older brothers. He's helped out some too, but we're all the on ice staff, counselors, everything. And so that one's a lot of fun because it's just with the family.
That's awesome. That's great to hear too. I love hearing
that's
that
great
stuff.
work. Yeah, because between what Anthony said and also fill the stadium, you do a lot of great work with that. You're considered as one of the best shutdown defensemen in the league. Do you think that the NHL needs to honor guys like you a little bit more? I would say like a defensive defenseman award, like a Rod Langway award or something like that.
To me, it doesn't care. It doesn't matter. I don't really care. No, it's defense isn't necessarily always pretty, and so I don't know if pretty gets the awards, but it doesn't matter to me. If they did, great. If not, doesn't matter. So it's okay.
Because I view yourself and Adam Pelech on the island as the two best shutdown defensemen in the league, and I think you guys should get more attention, more. I think it's very deserved. I mean, when you saw Roman Josi and Cale Makar putting up the points they do, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But what you guys do is to me is even more impressive. So I don't know if it's something they would ever do, like create the Bobby Orr Trophy, and that goes to the highest scoring defenseman, and then Norris is left as like all around, but. I don't know. It's something that I would be open to. So I don't know if other guys in the league you think would like that, or you think everyone for the most part is kind of just it is what it is.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of fans talk about that actually, and wanting like that kind of award. But I think the guys in the league, I think it is what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Makar is one of the best players in the league. So I think he'd be just as capable of winning a defensive defenseman award as he is the Norris, right? And so he won the Norris for a reason, and and so I think it is what it is at the end of the day, but maybe one day they'll do that.
I can't help but also think about this for you. It's almost like another year, another defense partner. 2 years ago, Dougie Hamilton, last year, and Tony DeAngelo, and now have they announced that you're going to get Brent Burns to play with you?
I don't think so. I think that's probably everyone's thought. I don't know why you would break up a Pesh Shazy D pairing, and so I'll gladly play with Burns. Though I think that's going to be awesome if it ends up happening. But he's a special player, and so it's like me and Dougie were pretty much the same age. Me and Tony are pretty much the same age. So to have someone who's older than me and has been in the league a lot longer than I have is going to be pretty cool to learn from too.
Now, your Don Waddell was pretty busy this summer. You know, Brent Burns added Max Pacioretty. But on the flip side, you know, you lose Vinny Trocheck, Nito Niederreiter. Is it bittersweet, like when you add new guys, bringing new faces, but at the same time you lose some of your buddies in the locker room over the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's always bittersweet. I mean, I think especially with our team, we had such a tight knit group of guys. I mean, everyone in the locker room was well liked. Everyone got along with each other, and so it's always tough to see guys like that go, who you grow to know their families, their wives, their kids, whatever it is. But then, I mean, one, it's awesome for them to get the contracts that they did. Like it's well deserving. You just wish they could still be here with you. And I mean, they put so much into the organization and helped us kind of get back on our feet. Right, those are two big pieces in making us the team that we were. And so, I mean, we did a great job filling their shoes, but at the same time, it's always tough to see guys like that go.
Jacob, I got to ask you about last year's playoff run. Now, when you're in the midst of a playoff run, do you get excited about things, and how stressful is it just going back and forth the way things were? You guys were perfect at home, the great home advantage, but I mean, the fans are going to get caught up, and we're going to think about all the positive stuff, but do you get to enjoy the moment at all?
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, especially playing at PNC, it's a blast. I mean, and even going to the Madison Square Garden and TD Garden, like those are some great road arenas to play in, and crazy fans there as well. So I mean, any playoff building is going to be fun to play in. Everyone's always hyped up and cheering, hollering, whatever it is. And obviously two very passionate fan bases there with Boston and New York. So that in and of itself makes it a blast. And you can enjoy those moments for what it is or for what they are. But playing at home's awesome. PNC is unbelievable. The fans here are super rowdy, super passionate, and always screaming. I think they're screaming no matter what's going on the ice. They're screaming. So it makes it loud, makes it fun. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's too stressful. I mean, the playoffs, I mean, you have to take it one game at a time. We wish we could have won one on the road, obviously, and you need to win games on the road. But it's just not how it worked out last year. And so learn from that. But yeah, you enjoy it, all of it. But I mean, at times it does get stressful. You're like, oh, we're back to this again. Come on, got to figure it out. So whatever it may be. But for the most part, you enjoy it.
Now, Jacob, before you joined us, we were talking about just jerseys and the leagues bring back the reverse retro program, and a lot of our commenters were commenting on the Hartford Whalers jerseys. Is that cool, like, for you to put on a Whalers jersey? Like, is that I know it's like the little things, but like, do you guys like enjoy having a new look out there when you're wearing the green?
Yeah, I think so. I think for the most part, a lot of guys enjoy it. I know guys in the past who have been here were super pumped to play in it just because they were maybe fans of the Whalers growing up. So like, oh, I got to wear a Whalers jersey. That's sweet. But for myself, I wasn't necessarily a Whalers fan growing up, but I think the logo's sweet. I think the jerseys look really slick. And so to be able to wear them and play, so like, I think when we 2 years ago, we wore it in Boston, which was pretty special just because I know the rivalry that those two teams had, right? And so it was pretty cool. To wear it in Boston. And so there's just a lot of history behind the jersey, which is cool.
Now, I got to ask, how much are you looking forward to the franchise's first ever outdoor game coming up against the Washington Capitals in February?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I don't think I've ever actually played in an outdoor game, like a legit outdoor game. So I think that's going to be so much fun. I was going to my junior season at college, but I ended up leaving, and so I didn't get to play there. And then there was talks of it happening earlier, but now that it's actually finally happening, it's gonna be sweet. And to be here in North Carolina is gonna be sweet. Hopefully, it's not one of the February 80-degree days, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. But no, I'm super pumped for it. I know the guys in the organization are super excited too.
You don't have to worry. LA figured that out. They did one at Dodger Stadium, right. So they can have one in. All the fans wear shorts. You guys are out on the ice.
Right, exactly. There we go.
Now, the outdoor games, when it started, was very popular. Do you feel like the novelty is still there? I know they added the Stadium Series games, and then there's Winter Classic, but do you like the idea that they added more, or do you think like there should just be one outdoor game per year and have it be like a really big event?
I could go either way with that. I think when it was just the Winter Classic, that was pretty special. But I think the way they've done the Stadium Series games, they've been able to incorporate more teams into it. Like if it was just the Winter Classic, I don't think the Canes will ever be getting a Winter Classic game. And so for us to be able to have one of these outdoor games, I think is going to be awesome. And so I think you could go either way with it, but I don't mind that there's more of them. I think it's still pretty special. I think the guys get excited for it too, and obviously, depending on the market, for us to have an outdoor game, I know Raleigh's going to be nuts over it, so it'll be really cool.
Yeah, it was a hit with Nashville last year as well, so it's great to get these markets all involved. I always gush about your teammate Sebastian Aho. That's one guy. It's if you're a fan of any team, you just want him on your team. What's it like to not only get to play 82 games with him, but also to see him in practice every single day?
Oh, it's special. He's an awesome guy on and off the ice. He's just a great guy, great locker room guy. Funny personality, witty personality, but is super competitive. And so everything he's competitive. We always go at it in the soccer circle, ping pong table, whatever it is. He's a competitor, and so it's fun to watch him. He cares about the game. He cares about the team. He's passionate. And then obviously his on-ice skill set is it's so good. His smarts out on the ice, where to be, when to be there. And then his skill set in and of itself is just unbelievable. And some of the plays he makes, and he might not be like the flashiest guy all the time, but he gets everything done the right way, and it's really special to watch. And I know I can, if I see him open, just give him the puck and something good's probably going to happen. So it's easy.
Now, Jacob, there's this off season. It's been fairly active. A lot of big trades, and I know the media and fans kind of eat this stuff up and they talk about it. But as a player, when you see like Johnny Gaudreau signing Columbus out of left field, or the Matt Tkachuk for Huberdeau trade, 200-point players traded for each other, which is rare in hockey. Do you and other guys do you text and be like, oh wow, I can't believe this move, or is that just something that just us media and fans really kind of talk about a lot?
No, I think players talk about it quite often. I mean, I remember last year there was a lot of speculation about Eichel. I think possibly coming to the Hurricanes, and we had a group of guys in Raleigh working out, and you talk about that, what would have to happen for that to come to fruition, or and so I think guys talk about it. We're working out during the summertime. I'm here in Raleigh, so there's not many other guys here, but I know in some of those Canadian cities where there's lots of players, I think it's kind of, you chat about it in the weight room, whatever it is, while you're working out. You talk about hockey all year long, then you go work out during the summertime, and you still talk about hockey, but just what all is happening, right? And so I think it's fun to talk about and see the different moves. Some of them can be surprising sometimes. I wouldn't have expected Florida to ever get rid of Huberdeau, but they did. And so
you and me both.
right, and so it just sometimes it happens, and that's part of the game. But no, it's just fresh faces and new places, and so it can be cool to see those players in different jerseys sometimes.
Yeah, you mentioned you're in Raleigh, and when in terms of this point in the summer, when do guys really start ramping up in preparing for training camp? I know typically, here in the end of August, guys are already starting to file in town for informal skates. But is this the time of year where guys are really getting on the ice and starting to ramp up, or you still have another couple of weeks until that happens?
Honestly, I think it depends from player to player. I know for myself, I typically don't get back out on the ice until August. So yesterday I skated for the first time since what was that? Early June, end of May. And so that was my first time back on the ice outside of those Christian hockey camps. But it just depends on the player. I know a lot of guys with kids will start coming back in, at least in Raleigh. They're filing back in next week, I think, and the next week, because school starts the following week. And so guys with kids will be here. But then most guys, I feel go back to the team around Labor Day weekend, because camp's typically about maybe a week and a half away from that point. And so it just depends on the player when you get ramped up. But I know for myself, August is really when I get it going again as far as on ice stuff goes.
Jacob, one of our co-hosts wishes he could have been here, and he actually has asked a question from remote for you, which was What's it like not knowing that now you don't have to face like a Burnsy or a Max Pacioretty next season? And what do you think they're going to bring to the team?
Yeah, knowing that I don't have to face them, it's just nice. I remember, I mean, when I think of Burns, I think of a shot, and I remember we were playing San Jose a couple of years ago, and he stepped out. I was all the way at our far blue. He was in the D zone, and he stepped out and fired a pass down the ice to, I think he was trying to hit Kane or something, but Kane ended up just like barely tipping it, and it hit me in the top of the foot. And it hurt to walk for a week just from one of his passes. And so I'm excited just for his strength and his just presence on the ice. He's a big guy, moves well, but obviously can shoot the puck really well. And so for our systems within our team, he's going to be awesome, especially in the O zone with how we like to play in the O zone. And so excited for that. And then guys like Max obviously can score goals. And so whenever you have a goal scorer on your team that's not on the other team, that's always a nice treat as a defenseman. And sorry, what was the other part of the question there?
Oh, so what do you think they're bringing to the team? I think,
yeah, I kind of answered that within the question of not having to play against them. But
I do have to ask you, are you going to try to match his beard?
I don't think I can. I don't think my wife will let me.
All right.
Jacob, we're based out of here on Long Island. The Islanders had UBS Arena built. It was brand new. What were your impressions of playing there last season? When you compare it to some of the other new arenas, did it stand out a little more?
It's definitely beautiful. I mean, we were only there once last year, just with the way I think the schedule works now with there being 32 teams, so we don't get to come there twice. But it was beautiful. I remember going on the bus ride though, because we had been in New York that whole week. I think we played the Devils and the Islanders, and then the Rangers later that week. So we had been in New York for a while. And so it was a long bus ride out there, and it seemed like we were just in the middle of a bunch of neighborhoods and houses, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's the arena. So it was a good experience. It was a beautiful arena, great soccer area before the game, so it's always nice. And then the locker room and that kind of stuff was top notch. And then the rink itself was pretty cool. And so it was definitely up there with some of those new arenas.
Can I ask you this? What can you tell us about Rod Brind'amour that, say, the average fan does not know?
The average fan does not know. I mean, I think everyone knows he's intense. Everyone knows that he's passionate and he has a great body. And then I think outside of that, though, I mean, just the respect that he has for the guys on the team. I mean, he played the game for, what did he play, 1,600 games, 1,700 games. And so he's in the league for the longest time. But from the way he carries himself, you would never think that, man, this guy played 1,700 games in the NHL. Like, he doesn't think he's better than anybody that he talks to. He treats everybody with respect and everyone equally in the same way. And so he's never looking down on anybody, which is really cool to see for someone who had such a great NHL career. And so just this humility and the respect that he has for people is something that you might not always see through the camera.
All right. We apparently had a technical difficulty. Anthony is right back with us right now. So, but
Wi-Fi.
He was a hell of a player. I mean, I remember all the days back to the Flyers, and obviously the first person to hoist the Stanley Cup for the Carolina Hurricanes. Hopefully, you guys will be able to do that again soon enough. Anthony?
My Wi-Fi had a little mishap there, so I missed it, but that's okay. Jacob, when it comes to next season, you look at the Metro. I know it's always a tough division, but you had teams last year, and the Penguins and the Capitals. They're older teams. Some people expect them to eventually fall off, but as a whole, do you look at the division and say to yourself that nothing's a guarantee, that you're going to have to really night in and night out, bring it because of how tight the division is going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you can say that just about any division in the league. I mean, any team in the league, you have to bring it every single night. I mean, everyone in the league's skilled. And so I think especially within the Metro, though, it's always been, I feel like for the past 5 years, it's always been so tight. I mean, even when we were just missing the playoffs 5 years ago. I think we missed it by like 2 or 3 points. I think that the year before we finally made it, we didn't miss it by much, and so it's always been super tight. But recently, it's incredible how you just see everyone's just within games of each other, and so I don't expect it to be any different next year. I think, yeah, like you said, like Huberdeau to Columbus, Line standing Columbus, that power play is going to be very dangerous now with Huberdeau making seam passes to Line whenever he wants, and so just their power play alone is going to be dangerous now. And then obviously you have the Pens and the Caps, like you said, they're getting older, but they're still dangerous teams who know how to play the right way. And they both those teams have won the Cup recently, so they know the way that it needs to be done. And so yeah, I can't foresee it being an easy year in the Metro ever.
I got to ask you about one of the most famous teammates you ever had, David Ayres, the Zamboni driver in Toronto. Just what it was going through the locker room in this second period after it was Reimer that had the lower body injury, then Mrazek gets trucked, and then it's now you're an NHL team. You're about to have a Zamboni driver suit up for you. What were you guys thinking? And then how'd you guys feel at the end of that?
Yeah, I mean, first, I remember I've apologized to James multiple times for this, but I'm pretty sure I'm the reason he got hurt in that first period. I think I got pushed in from behind, and I ran into his knee, and I just hear him go, "Oh!" And I was like, "Oh, no, don't be serious." And then obviously it was serious, and so I felt really bad. But then, yeah, Mraz goes down, and then David comes in. I think it was the first 2 shots go in. And then the period, you're just like, oh man, we got a the third. I just have no idea.
We got a Wi-Fi skip.
Sorry.
All right, sorry. We got you back.
Sorry about that. Where'd you lose me?
You actually, just after you were talking about Peter's injury.
Okay, so yeah, Raz gets hurt, and then David comes in, and I think the first 2 shots on net go in, and so we're kind of like, oh man, this could be a really long night. Anyways, period ends, and we go back in the locker room, and we're sitting there, and David's like, sorry boys, I was nervous, but don't worry, I'm going to pull it together for the third period. And we're just like, oh, like, don't worry about it, man. Like, just enjoy this. This is awesome, whatever. And then obviously we go out there the third period. I think he made 8 for 8 on saves and end up winning the game. And so, it was really cool. Rowdy always talks about memories, and there's things that you remember that are going to happen throughout your career that you remember. And he's like, this is one of those memories. You guys are never going to forget this experience. David's never going to forget this experience. And so really cherish it. And just how awesome and cool and unique of experience that was. It was awesome. And so I know Caniac Nation, was so excited for him, and he came back and rode the Zamboni the next game or whatever. And so I don't know why they didn't let him drive it, but, it was super cool.
And that's the beauty of hockey, that you could just have a couple plays like that, and then somebody comes out of the stands, and whether or not it happens, hell, that happened with the New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1927. They ended up having their head coach suit up, so it's amazing.
Yeah, it's super cool, and I know that's one experience that David will never forget. Neither will I.
Anthony. All right. So last year, the NHL had to cancel sending players to the Olympics, and you probably would have gone. How disappointed were you with that?
It was a bummer. I think it would have been super cool to represent USA and going over there and playing the Olympics. It would have been awesome. But at the same time, you kind of almost expected it, just with the way things were still going, and we still had our season to complete. And so hopefully everything's done by 2026, we're still in a position to be able to make the team and go from there. But it would be super cool and dream come true to be able to represent the country.
Now, Jacob, I believe you were around 2 years old or so, probably in '96 when the Avalanche moved to Denver. Were you a fan of them growing up and idolizing guys like Sakic and Forsberg?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was a fan, but they weren't. I wouldn't say they were my team. Actually, I was a goalie growing up, and so I had pictures
wow.
of Dominic Hasek all up in my wall, and so I was a huge Buffalo Sabres fan.
Oh, wow.
Don't know why I liked him, but I had pictures of him and loved playing them and with Buffalo, and I think it was NHL '99 on the N64 and Hasek and Jason Woolley and so it was Barnaby was on the team too. Yeah, I don't know. It was just I remember just being unbelievable with that game. But I was more of a Sabres fan growing up, but I think it was more just because of Hasek more so.
So Brett Hull's foot was definitely in the crease, right?
Oh, so I'm not even that big of a fan.
So I'm going through my questions. I want to make sure I got everything. So talk about that. Carolina has this ridiculous home ice edge, and you guys struggled a little bit on the road in the playoffs, but was it ever does the home ice advantage ever work against you guys at times? Like maybe it fires up the opponents coming in, or I mean, there are other times where you guys just stifled the Bruins in the first round, especially, and the Rangers in the second round.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever say it heightens up the opposing team, but I wouldn't say it is a disadvantage to us either. It's awesome. I mean, the fans, like I said earlier, are so passionate and they're yelling all the time. So the place is rowdy and it is very loud. I remember it was a game 2 against Washington that first year we made the playoffs again, and I think we had just killed off a penalty towards the end of the game and then scored an empty netter, and the puck drops again, and I just remember the whole building felt like it was shaking. I couldn't hear myself think. It was like, and that was the first time I had experienced that necessarily in a hockey game, and so that's a memory that'll always stick out to me, just that feeling of how cool that was. But the home ice advantage we have at PNC is great. I mean, the surge is what it is, and I think it kind of lived its best days, and it's still dragging along. But the fans there, I mean, first couple of years in the league, if it was a weekend game, we'd be lucky to maybe have 8,000 fans. And now just to see the turnaround of the community coming out and supporting us has been awesome. And I feel like now the worst that we get might be 15,000 fans in a game, and so it's been really cool to just see the community come back and support us as well.
Was that the game you were referencing? Was that the one when Andrei Svechnikov fought Ovechkin? And what's your thought about that? You're looking at this big time scorer fighting Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, I think I was out there on the ice for that, and I remember seeing them start to push and shove a little bit, and then Svech's he's not going to back down to anybody. Like he's a tough kid and super strong, and so I wish he didn't fight him, but at the same time, like he emotional part of the game, and so it is what it is. But it was tough to see him go down. Obviously, he's a key part to our team, and obviously he's an unbelievable player, and so it hurt to lose him, but. I mean, that's part of hockey too, and so
the points you earn on the bench after that, though, lots of stick tap.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a great kid, and I don't think he's gonna. I don't know if he'll fight Ovi again, but he's a tough kid. It plays a hard game, so I know he gets under a lot of people's skins. A lot of people's skin out there. Jacob, but I think that might have been game 3 or 4 actually.
Okay,
game 3. I think that was game 3.
Now, Jacob, before we let you go, we like to ask a little bit of a fun question, similar like the guys on NHL Network asked. But like growing up, what was your favorite video game? I know you mentioned N64 before, but were you like a Mario guy or Legend of Zelda, or what was your go-to growing up?
I played NHL Hits was probably one of my me and my brother's favorites. You guys lose me again? Sorry.
Yeah, just for a second. Yeah. You were
Yeah,
saying
no.
NHL
So I
hit.
think, yeah, NHL Hits was probably the best. We played that with my brothers a lot. But then I think the best video game, the one I would go back to and only play that one was when I was probably 14, 15, 16, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
That one couldn't be beat. And so that was my favorite. I remember I logged hours of that. And so that was my go-to.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, my nephew always loved that game. So
Yeah.
I played countless hours with him, and he would just constantly school me on that.
Right. Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was a fun one.
I have a 6-year-old girl, and she's obsessed with Mario. So I play a lot of Mario Kart and the Nintendo Switch. So maybe
There
we'll
you
have
go.
some of that in your future.
Yeah, no, I'm not far off. My daughter I'm sure she would love to play it right now if we let her, but a couple years out from that, I think.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Jacob. Enjoy the rest of your off season, and we wish you the best of luck in the regular season. And maybe we'll see you when the Rangers are here in town for the Rangers and Islanders.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
And
Thanks,
can't
guys.
wait to get down to go see a game in Carolina myself, by the way.
Got it.
So.
Got to do it. Just don't come wearing a blue jersey.
Oh no.
Okay, we're good.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
That was great. That was great. Jaccob Slavin. All right. Let's get to some of your comments right here. Obviously, we would have loved to have had Mr. Aces High right here, Phil, on there. He was able to at least chime in on his lunch break. You know what? I'll tell you exactly what, Mr. Syntastic. I think one of the biggest differences, I think, Gerard Gallant right away. David Quinn didn't really have any answers, I think, for Carolina and everything that they did. At least that in that playoff run. And it looked like Svechnikov was going to be the biggest draw after that. Like I thought he was going to take off and have a career year the next year.
Yep.
See, actually, Wicked, I think that was a good question. That's what we were trying to allude to about when players get traded, what players think about that. And Ely, yep, very much so. It is not a small, it's not becoming a small market anymore. The David Ayers game. Yeah. See, I always like it when Phil could say an excellent question, because whenever I bomb a question, those are those months I'm like, I do think we're going to get Natchez at center. See, that could have been a good one. See, I think a lot of, there's so many good things that came out of Rod Brind'amour. I mean, and I think that's a great comment. He's a guy that played 1,600 games, as Jacob was saying, and he doesn't think he's higher than anyone. That's amazing. Amazing that anybody could be that humble about all their accomplishments. Now, there was a lot of Trocheck things. I didn't think about asking the Trocheck question. See, we had a couple of the internet go down. It was good that it wasn't. Well, first off, it was good that mine didn't. So woo, I'm the last one standing that didn't have his thoughts go down. Yes, the Stadium Series. Can't wait for that one. The Slavinator. All right, that's a good one. See, you know what, Johnny, that would have been a great thing. And I know that they stopped the storm surge. I don't care. I would have loved it. Just go right ahead. Keep it going. Don Cherry is no longer around. Go ahead. Keep going with the storm surge. Actually, that's a good one. Who was the best chirper in the NHL? Oh, that would have been. See, so focused on doing the chyrons with everything else that he was saying. Yeah, about the beard. What do I like to see the Rangers, Islanders reverse retros look like? Again, I'm a traditionalist. I don't even want the shield. The Lady Liberty I can accept. I have one of them still. Matter of fact, I think I still got 2 of them. But I'm not on that. I would love to see a brand new design for the Islanders. Honestly, I keep going back to you put the lighthouse on there, throw a whole new design out of nowhere for the Islanders. What is it? What would it be for Long Island that you would put on for the New York Islanders besides a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich on a bagel?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be the reverse retro is definitely going to be a variation of the fisherman, whether it's the wave jersey colors with the current Islander logo, something like that, or the fisherman logo. It's going to involve something with that. Curious to see when they get unveiled. Hopefully all soon.
Hey, Anthony, actually, I don't know this one. Does Manscaped? Oh, sorry. Wait, hold on. I missed the one that was right there. By the way, I'm about to get some Manscaped products other than that area. Do they sell razors for shaving your back or chest?
Yeah.
I think the buzzers for the chest. I don't know if they got one for the back. That's I know a buddy of mine that like invented one for his back. So that's always a good thing. And D is saying again, youth hockey is amazing down here. Parents are moving to this area so their kids can play. A lot of people move to the Carolinas because that seems to be where civilization is. So, Chris Frost, Anthony, how about this one? Islanders are like the Red Wings. Don't mess with the logo. It's perfect.
Yeah, and that's why you had so many people that hated the fisherman when it came out, because you had a lot of the old Islander fans that were around for the Stanley Cup wins. You take a logo like that, you get rid of it, and then you get your first off. Then you're a losing team when you switch the logo, and then you're getting mocked and with the Gordon's fisherman and all that stuff. It hurt a lot of people. So I agree with that sentiment of don't mess with it, and I think that's why a lot of people hated the fisherman right off the bat.
Check out Phillips right underneath that. A lighthouse with a beacon swinging around with the original logo on it, like the bat signal. That would be cool.
They might as well put Lou's face on the front of the jersey because he controls everything. So,
it would be great for the Rangers and Islanders retro jerseys. Put the Big Apple, Apple right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of news, and actually kind of surprising, but it was before Slavin came on. The Stars beat writer from The Athletic put out an article saying contract talks between the Stars and Jake Ottinger's camp have gone nowhere, which is a little surprising because he's definitely an upcoming goalie. He was great for them last year. You would think that it would be something that would get done pretty quickly and they wouldn't have any issues, but it seems like it is. So we'll see what happens there. But the Stars would be in some big trouble if they couldn't get Ettinger signed.
Oh wow. Hold on. David just answered the question for us. Manscaped has a lot of back shaving products. Take your current Manscapes and put it in your girlfriend's hand broom, and you got a Manscaped back shaver. Okay, there you go. So I'm pretty naturally hairless, especially on the back, so I don't have to worry about that. Chris T was asking the thoughts on Huberdeau. Great signing. And Calgary now, they're right back. I would say almost to where they were last year. You're still missing Kachuk. That's a big piece.
No,
the Lulanders.
No thoughts on what I told you about Ettinger, Mark?
Let's go back to Ottinger. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I was still focused on the comments. I think it's eventually going to get done because he's an RFA. He's going nowhere. I think he's the last goalie. Him, Askarov. Well, trying to think of all the goalies drafted in the first round. But he's the last first round goalie to currently be playing in the NHL, I think, right now. Right?
Ettinger?
But yeah, Ottinger.
He's very good.
Yeah.
He's
I
very
think he was
good.
the last goalie taken in the first round. Maybe Spencer Knight. Any event. He was great for the Stars against Calgary. So he's definitely an up-and-coming star. I would love this. I would love it if Dallas can get him done. Dallas, I know they're a little bit cash-strapped. They got him and Robertson they have to sign. So we're going to see exactly what it's going to take for that. It's going to get done. There's no way it's not. I'm going to look up the contract situation for him right now.
I think that might be the issue. I think they only have $10 million or so of cap space, and Jason Robertson's probably going to take up 7 of that, I would think.
10.35.
Yep.
And yes, Ottinger is an RFA. So they don't have that many outrageous contracts, though. I mean, it's the two that we know that are the outrageous ones.
Yeah.
Tyler
Sagan.
Yeah, Ben and Sagan. And Jesus, they need those guys to step it on up. And Pavelski re-upped at 5.5. So, because then after that, they still got Rupe Hintz and Dennis Gurianov that's got to be signed next year. So it's not going to be, it's not going to be right there. I don't know. They're going to have to figure that one out because there's a lot of work they're going to have in the future. And as far as Sagan and Ben go, they have full no move clauses for the duration of their contracts. Ouch. So, by the way, I'm going to end the poll right here. We asked who was the best shutdown defenseman in the NHL. Our guest, Jaccob Slavin, got 41% of the vote. Adam Pelech finished second place with 28. And the last two names we threw on there, Aaron Ekblad and Drew Doughty, 16 and 13%. There was 53 votes that were on there today. Guys, thanks very much for participating in that. So far, only 23 likes. Come on, people. We need more likes. So that's how we get the algorithm in. Got to keep on digging.
How is it that I think when we did the Gaudreau when we did the Gaudreau spot, we had over, I think, 300 at one point. And then there was another one. I don't know if it was the
draft day. Draft day we went over not draft day. Because that one we went over 70, 80.
Yeah.
The free agency spending, we went over 100 for the first time. Then the Gaudreau was 300.
And then we have Jaccob Slavin on, and I think we didn't even top 40 something or so today. So I don't. Doesn't make much sense. I don't know.
Well, we're still trying to navigate these waters of YouTube and stuff like that. And there's going to be promotions we could try to run with it that hopefully won't go to click farms. That'll just completely destroy our channel. So that's one thing that we're trying to do. But yeah, it might just be timing, like you said before. And it's stuff that's going to be. We're gonna get through this. It's when we're more established. Tags are in there. I optimized the video as best I can.
Yes.
There are times where after that where we had shows that we were at 85, 90, and that's the reason why I was staying on for 4 hours to make sure I kept people on. So it's all those things. And as Phil says right there, might just be timing. It's totally fine. But we're still building up our audience. You guys are doing great. Everybody is fantastic that has been supporting us. I can genuinely say we have about 2,000, almost 2,500 subscribers, and it's the people that are actually still here and doing it. So by the way, I kind of where is Angel saying? Angel, make the road teams wear their darks again. I kind of miss home whites occasionally.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to it now. I don't even think about it. Days of the week matter. When do your subscribers come in? There's so many different things. Times of streams are going to limit viewers. That's right too. There's so many other factors, but it's also the freshness of the news story. And we were beating a lot of our ratings are actually better than the Hockey News channel. So all right. and we're even missing a core piece right now. We're missing Philk at the moment, so we know that's what the people want. That they want to see their Philk. So it's one of those things that's just getting out there. It's just more stuff that we're gonna get through. It's not. It takes years to build up an audience, and that's what we're doing right now. But we're gonna take some more of your questions. Right now it's 2:44. We're gonna go to 3:00. Unfortunately, everybody, where I am gonna stick to that 3:00 deadline today and not go much past it. So and I even got closeout music to play now. So
You do?
Yeah. There's a song from my cousin that he passed on about 10 years ago now, but there's a song that he has that perfectly fits for closeout music.
Yeah.
That would be it's called Bye Bye. So
What about closing time?
it could do that, but we're gonna get a copyright strike. This one I own not own. I could at least get the copyright for that in case they ask me to do it.
I get you.
Yeah. I mean, oh no, it's all right. Although I'm not sure if that sorry was for me or if it was Philk. Philk needs to come on, the rage monster, and be the building. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say anything bad about the hockey news, but they're you know what? For the most part, we are the only interactive podcast that's on YouTube in any way.
That's
like
true.
All the rest of them, they'll just air their stuff and stay on with you. We actually have a format, and we have a format that we turn it over to you guys. We always do that, where it's the questions. Yeah. And Romanel, yeah. Well, your work is just as important as mine. I have to make the content. You have to listen to my voice. No, fortunately, my cousin was not part of NSYNC. Yeah, there were some Hockey Digest or Hockey News magazines that they always pick the low hanging fruit. Anthony?
No, I was gonna say when it comes to RFAs, it feels like every summer there's a few RFAs, Mark, that linger and go into September still unsigned. So
obviously Ottinger.
So some of the RFAs that are still unsigned, I'll give you some names and you kind of get me if you think any of them are going to be problem negotiations. But Pavel Zacha, I think that one should go clear. That one should go smoothly. Lawson Krauts should go smoothly. But got Jake Ottinger, Mason Appleton. Winnipeg is $8 million of cap space. That really shouldn't be an issue. Rasmus Sandin, that one I think Toronto has basically no cap space. Have to sign him. That might take some time. Romanov and Dobson, we know those are in draws and lose desk. Philip Zadina in Detroit hasn't really lived up to his draft hype. I don't really think he has much leverage. You would think that one would get done soon. Philip Kurashev in Chicago, kind of unknown guy, came in and actually put up some decent numbers for Chicago. Again, still that one should be a layup. So there's really not many. I mean, Jason Robertson's really the big one. Fleury, that's no biggie. Alex Fermenton in Ottawa. Yeah, so really, if you look at it, high profile cases, really Ottinger, Robertson. I mean, that's really about it. Noah Dobson's a big name, but we know no one has to worry about that. Eric Brandstrom in Ottawa, again, hasn't really lived up to his hype. And then you got Natchez in Carolina, which, they don't have much cap space, so only a little over $2 million. So that one might be a problem because I don't think did Carolina have anyone that go to arbitration? If not, they don't get that second buyout window, so they can't buy out Jake Gardiner. So they might have to move somebody to sign Natchez. So those are some of the RFAs. Any of those names, Mark, stick out and make you say that one might take some time?
Robertson is the one I say right away that might take some time. I think that could go into camp. And if that goes into camp, how much does that affect Ottinger? Because I know you just said they're wide apart. There's a guy that Warren is saying they have. Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't realize they had. So then, yeah, they could get a second buyout window triggered then.
Which I wonder if there's a way to figure out what buy out this contract. All right, let's buy out the current contract. If that happens, the cap calculations, the buyout cost is 1.48 million. They saved 2.9 this year, but they're hit with 1.5 the next year. 1.1 this year, and then 1.5 the next year. So it's not buying out Jake Gardiner wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah.
At least
they mentioned Jason Robertson. You think it's you think it's going to be a problem because tough negotiate because they have $10 million and it seems like a layup. I don't know if Robertson's going to be if he's going to be difficult. But it may take some time just because they do have to sign Ettinger as well.
I think that's a problem. They have to sign two guys, and it's also Robertson's really starting to show that he's a player. Yeah. And the question is, can you bridge him, or can you, which could happen, and they could just bridge him and then just wait 2 years and then try to get him the big money. But if that happens, that's a win for Dallas. Let's say you give him a 2-year bridge. That gets you to the point where you can save enough money. You can then possibly bridge Ottinger or use Ottinger on a bridge. And then you can re-sign Rope Hintz the next year, which that's a big one. That's another one you got to think about signing. That's why sometimes whenever I have the conversation with Ranger fans about X amount of dollars going to Capo Caco, or they should go get Patrick Kane, or they should do this. You next year you gotta figure out how to keep Miller and Lafreniere under the cap. And there's probably going to be a short bridge deal for those two, but that's why Jacob Trouba's got a full no trade clause. We've gone over this a million times till 2024, and that's where you get your money back. Go ahead, Ant.
Speaking of buyouts, I expect the Devils to possibly buy out Andreas Johansson. They have their second buyout window triggered after the Miles Wood arbitration. So I think, because right now you wouldn't think it because they've been a bad team, but the Devils only have $73,000 of cap space right now, and you wonder yourself how, who do they have on their roster? They have $73,000 of cap space left, so I think it would be wise if they use that second buyout window on Andreas Johansson. Calgary has their second buyout window, and I gotta wonder if they buy out Sean Monahan. If he's healthy, then they can buy him out. If he's not deemed healthy, they can't. But they're also against the cap, so it's possible that they could possibly buy out Sean Monahan.
Now, this is one thing that State of Survival is saying, where it's in a dead cap era, and since the cap is going up next year, why not buy players out? Why aren't there more buyouts? I think because the worst buyout situation, period, is Minnesota. You don't want to be Minnesota out of nowhere. Not that anybody is going to be, because that was a very unique situation. But I still can't believe that they bought them both out just like that and took $14 million worth of cap penalties for 2 more years. I think buyouts are always a tricky thing, because I could argue that the New York Rangers probably could have not bought out those guys that they bought out. They're going to get $3.4 million back on the cap next year, because their buyouts for Girardi, Shattenkirk, and D'Angelo are all going to be off the books. But I don't like the idea of doing too many more buyouts. So Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, look at the Wild. The Wild have those massive buyouts from Parise and Suter on the books. So
and by the way, David's mentioned this right here. $9 million for Hughes and for Hischier. And you're paying them for their futures. They got to start staying healthy and producing that.
Well, Hughes is actually $8 million and Hischier is 7.2, but the point stands. They're getting paid a lot of money. What's funny that they're right up against it. They're right up against the cap. I mean, and they have Sharon Govich, which is a RFA next year. He's $2 million. He'll probably get a raise. So they have some issues there, but it would probably behoove them to buy out Johansson, save them some, give them some breathing room.
That Andre Palat deal has the chance to go sideways very quickly.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think it's going to. I think he's a good player, but I never buy at a player. It's absolutely insane. This is what Romanello's saying. You just give up cap space and handcuffing your future. Yeah. Well, the question is, what's exactly the terms of the buyout? I mean, the Rangers bought out 1 year of Henrik Lundqvist, 1 year of Dan Girardi, or I think it was 2 years of Dan Girardi, and then spread it out. There are so many times where, take for instance, I mean, the Mets are going to be paying Bobby Bonilla $1.5 million until I think it's 2032. Whereas they ate that money for Jason Bay for 1 year without thinking twice. And that was much more. That was $15 million, I think. So sometimes it's better to just eat the money right away.
Yeah,
Take
you're
it all
right.
as a lump sum.
Yep.
But
well, it's just crazy how many there really are. So many teams that have. I think there's only 13 teams that have more than $2 million of cap space right now, which is crazy to me. But it's just the nature that we're living in right now.
this is something that was invented last year, and I have no idea how I ever lived without it. But Kevin Weeks, breaking news from anywhere, including, I think one time he did it taking a dump.
And half his face.
And half his face.
In the Twitter videos, it's always like half his face or really straight. Like it's funny though. He's very in touch with what's going on. He's climbing up the ranks of, being one of the more reliable insiders, and, he's having some fun with it. So good for him.
Good for him. Absolutely. Kevin Weeks, such a great guy.
You know what's going to happen, right?
What?
You know what's going to happen, right?
What?
He's going to do one of his, when the time comes, he's going to do one of his breaking news tweets about Kadri and the Islanders, and the man whose face you just took off the screen there is going to make him go missing shortly after he makes that tweet. Yep.
Horse's head right in the bed. Yeah. Those things are just so great. And yeah, I know that there was the Madoff money that it was all supposed to be, but still, it's just,
yeah, you did miss Slavin, unfortunately.
But you don't have to worry, Dave, because you could always rewind.
But what you didn't miss yet, though, is Marc's going to call Lou right now and ask him if he signed Kadri. So you're not going to miss that.
I think the music is over here somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start calling him. I don't know about that yet. But I just know that I have to be at work tonight, so I'd have to explain to Lou. Look, Lou. If you kill me, someone's got to cover my shift. So I don't think that's gonna. He'll be like, no, it's all right. So that's why I got Ross Johnston. Wait, what? I don't know. But yeah, this was in addition to StreamYard recently, where you can start adding in your own music too, if you do that. This is a song my cousin did back in the 90s. It's called Bye Bye. And he's a little bit more of a classic rock guy. So but this was this was a hell of a 2 hours, and I can't call a Big Lou.
Yeah.
You know what? That'll still be even an interesting conversation where it's going to be like, hey, so can I at least get your name? No, I'm not telling you my name. But
wait, he asked for your name?
Oh no. He just
What?
kept on saying, "Who is this?" I'm like, I never even. I told him my name. I told him. He wouldn't tell me his name. So I was like, oh my god, I called the wrong number.
Yeah.
Because also I'm such a terrible phone call. I really am. Unless I know what I'm doing. Are you planning a BAH game for everyone to meet up at? Yes, we're planning on doing some meetups still. We were supposed to do a big one to start the year for the Islanders and the Rangers. That was back in December, but then the Islanders all got COVID. And if we got Drury's number, would you call? You know what? I got other things to talk about Chris Drury about. I can tell you that. One of the people I'd talk to Chris Drury about is Travis Roy. That would actually get him distracted for a second.
Yeah,
Did you guys
I did see this a couple of weeks ago when it was announced that they hired Doug Huda and Wiseman as their assistant coaches, and then just last week it was announced they hired John McClain and Wiseman wasn't joining the staff. So a little weird. Some people thought maybe the Islanders wanted to distance themselves just in case he was involved. What happened with in that little thing there, and they didn't want to be associated with it. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would take John McClain, so I'm not happy. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, John McClain's a Lou guy, and I know that was one of the firings that they talked about this. I remember years ago when Butch Goring was fired by Milbury, and it broke Milbury's heart to tell him he was firing him for the one job he ever wanted. But the other answer on that is, yeah, Lou didn't want to fire John McClain.
Before we go, did you hear Kyle Poso was on Spit and Chicklets with the guys last week, and he had a lot of interesting things to say about the Islanders and everything. They talked about how Garth Snow became the general manager. Do you know what the backstory was and how it happened?
No, go ahead.
So, DiPietro was obviously close with Charles Wang, which is why he said that's why Neil Smith quit. Neil Smith found out that Charles Wang gave him the 15-year deal behind his back, and Neil Smith's like, I'm out. But Wang and DiPietro were real close, so Wang was saying, who are we going to get to be the general manager? And Rick DiPietro said, well, Snow has interest in that. He's always sitting in the back of the bus looking at salary and this and that. And he'd make a good general manager. He's a good general manager at fantasy. He's a good manager of a fantasy hockey team. And Charles Wang, based on that, Rick DiPietro's recommendation, decided to make Garth Snow the general manager. You can't make this up.
I actually don't think
that's what Oposo said.
I don't think Wang was a bad owner for the Islanders either.
He was just unorthodox. He was just unorthodox about, he didn't know much about the sport going into it. So he kind of just, did the best he could. But yeah, I couldn't believe that. That's literally how that came to be. Rick DiPietro said that he'd make a good general manager because he has interest in it and he's always looking at numbers and he's a good fantasy hockey guy. They're like, oh, all right, let's make him general manager.
I mean, I gotta credit at least Garth Snow for picking some diamonds out of the rough that he's done before.
Yeah.
So, you gotta give credit where credit's due. So, because he found Michael Grabner, he found Hickey, he found Matt Molson. There were guys that he picked off the scrap heap, but they ended up having career years for the Islanders. So there are also some that didn't. So that's a different story. All right, guys, we're going to sign it off from here because we got a lot we got to do. I got to get this up for the podcast crowd, the iTunes and Spotify people. And you guys are great as always. We're going to keep on making content all throughout the summer. And hopefully there'll be all three of us soon enough. Guys, thank you very much. And everybody, have a great day.
Good day.